Again, welcome to Other Realms Comics and I guess I don't know how because it's such a long thing. Comics and specialty games and comic and game specialists. Other Realms Comic and game specialists. Today we're gonna do a few different things on how to produce a comic, which is basic structures and anatomy of a page. So what we're gonna do are different things where we're doing the human anatomy. If you look on in front of you, there's a basic human male structure. Now keep in mind these structures are very comic book. They're not made to look like real people because real people don't normally look like this, right? Unless they have like 1% body fat and they can fly. So, and then also there's the page structure. So how you read a page, okay? Um, but we're gonna start off with basic human anatomy. So with male and female. Now, in front of you, there is the the male figure, right? Let's go with that. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So normally the male structure has about 8 to kind of depends on how big you want it to be, 8 to 10 head lengths from foot to head or head to feet. Okay, so can you see that out there?
No, I'm getting it.
All right. Anyway, um, but also if you look on the structure of the male anatomy, a lot of people, I know, right? There's like a little lag up there. So what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna draw a basic structure. So you have that center line. Is it coming up right now?
No, not yet.
Not yet.
I have a problem with that camera. There we go.
Let me know.
Should be up in about 30 seconds, guys.
30 seconds. Everybody count. By the way, this is Jacob, and it's all his fault. I'm just saying. He's like, has everybody seen the Avengers? Okay, everybody's seen Avengers, so I can say things in here that are not spoilers. So yeah, it's all his fault. We're just gonna call him Star-Lord today.
Yeah.
All right. So anyway, the basic structure for the male anatomy starts off with a center line. No matter what you do, that center line, no matter what position you're in, I'm going to show you in just a second where the center line makes the difference. Okay? There's a neck. Does everybody see that? Is that
No, that's live. Is it sort of live?
okay?
Yeah, it's 30 second delay with everything.
Yeah, yeah. But is it dark enough?
Yeah.
Can you see it? Okay. So when you get to this point, basically what I do, because again it's comic book style, right? It's very much a square. So your head, no matter who you are in comics, your head fits in that square. Okay? Because if you're looking forward, right in the middle from your eye level to your nose to your mouth and to your chin, it's all a basic square. Right? Then you kind of round it out a little bit like that. Okay? Now, no matter who it is, let's say you want Captain America. You have the basic eye structure, nose, and mouth. Okay. Or if you want Wolverine, you want Batman, they're all the same. Yeah, no matter who it is. Can you see it now? Is it coming up like or 30 seconds? Okay. Now if you want, say for the Hulk, it's the same basic square, right? With the cross inside, you got the eye line. His eyes are a little bit smaller. His nose is a little bit higher to the eyes, right? Instead of being, I guess I don't know. Instead of being like the normal, like length, it'd be up closer to the eyes, and his lips would be farther down. His brows would be bigger, right? And his jaw would be wider. I'm going to stop here so that I can. There you go. See? So the jaws would be a little bit wider. Okay. His ear line would still be the same. But again, it's all in that same square. If you're a female, you can still use that square, but again, same eye line, nose line, mouth, but now you're making it into a teardrop. Now everybody's faces are shaped differently, but again, comic book style. This can be Wonder Woman. It can be basically any comic book character. There. So on and so forth. So again, it's always the same basic square. Okay. Now with the square, I'm gonna be drawing a lot of squares today, and I hate what is it, Minecraft? Oh, I hate drawing that because all you do is draw squares, and I tell people I don't draw that. I don't like drawing Minecraft, but what I do, I draw squares anyway. Okay, so yes. You good? Is this center? Okay. So for example, if you want it to look like a quarter turn, you just put the center line a little bit farther out to whatever side that you want. Same basic structure, right? With the square, but now instead of the center line being here, it can be here or it can be here. Right? So you got your eyes, got your nose, lips, chin, your jutting jaws, so you can be like Superman. Right? And I make my characters look mean for some reason, even though they can smile if they want. Right? You got your hairline. Now, I don't know if anybody here has taken anatomy. I think you guys probably took anatomy classes before. But your ears are in, like the top of your ears are in line with your eyeballs. So your eyes right here are the top of your ears, right?
I just have it on you right now. If you want to hold the camera, the picture on me.
Yeah. Let me sketch this out first. Like for example, if you wanted to have that upper lip, Simon, come sit down, bro.
It's on that camera there.
Then what you would do? Oh, it's on this one.
Yep, there you go.
So what you would want to do, you'd want to make your eye line higher on the forehead, and so that way all the rest of your features will just be lifted up, right? And then your ear line would be a little bit lower. Now, if you want to look like you know, like how you like this, kind of like a Wolverine look, then you put your eye line a little lower on the square. Nose, mouth. By the way, everybody, this is Reed. Say hi to Reed.
Hi, Reed.
Hi, Reed. Thank you. He's actually a really good artist. I don't know what he's doing here, but he's here to teach us something. When you're looking at a face like that, like say a Wolverine, or you know, if somebody's coming at you and they're actually looking downward like this, your ears would actually be higher. Okay, wait, let me see. So there you go. Your ears would actually be a little bit higher than the eye line, right? So if you're looking straight on, then your ears would line up with your eye. But if you're looking down, it'll be higher. If you're looking up, it'll be lower. Okay? Basic stuff. Bless you. Where is the other? Ah, there we go. If anybody needs more paper, just let me know, because I'm going to be going through these like crazy. Okay. So again, basic structure of the face. For comic book heroes, are we good? Can we see?
Yeah, it's still on that one camera.
Okay. Also, don't forget the eyebrows because everybody looks weird without eyebrows. You ever seen Beyonce without eyebrows? Not so pretty. But she is Queen Bee, so.
Whoopi don't have eyebrows.
What?
Whoopi.
Whoopi don't have eyebrows, but nobody cares, like because she's Whoopi, right?
She's always wearing like a thing on her forehead too.
Right? Okay, so that's what it looked like. All the different, again, female, you can still use that square, but you use a kind of an oval shape. Okay, I say teardrop because I like to have the chins a little bit pointed, because it just, for some odd reason, in comics it just looks very appealing. Yeah? So let's move on to body structure, which is, again, basically the same thing as this, right? Can you see it up on the screen?
Yeah, that's perfect.
Okay. So, center line. Y'all can draw with me, by the way. I'm just saying. Please draw with me. So, we got a center line, center line. Everybody got a center line. How you doing over there?
I'm gonna go up and see if it's that thing. I think it is.
Okay. Okay. Don't look at that. Don't look at that part. Don't look at that part. That's not a part of comic anatomy.
Hey, it's on the.
Hey,
At least I'm helping you out.
there you go, bro.
See, it's a family thing. It's a family thing. Okay, so with your center line, put your head, the square. Right, for me, what I like to do sometimes, because I don't know the dimensions of my paper, whatever size of the head you have, take that and multiply it by like 1, 2, 3, 4, maybe about 5. So you basically do 5 squares like this. Doesn't have to be perfect. Okay. All right.
What? How did you do that?
How'd you do that? What'd you do? What'd you do?
Do that.
There you go. See? Again, he's following. He's following along. It's a square. It's all about the square for some reason. Even though I hate drawing squares. Okay, so you on your head, the top one, you put your eye line right in the middle of the square. Some people put it a little bit higher. Some people put it a little bit lower, depending on what angle you're looking at. Your nose goes from your eye line to your jawline. Your nose is right in the middle. Okay, so we'll go right in the middle of that. And then from your nose line to your jawline, your mouth goes in the middle of that. Right. Now, personally, I love Jim Lee. I mean, who doesn't, right? He puts in these really defined, what are they called?
Cheekbones?
Yeah, cheekbone lines. So that's what I do. I do like that curve.
There. I did it.
And then angle up. Again, this is just practice, so we don't have to be perfect. Put your nose definition, which we'll get into that later. Put your eyebrows, make them look mean or nice, whatever. All right.
You know that the picture's come so we can see it on here?
Yeah, here, you just gotta show it to
Oh.
the camera. I'm still working on the other one. So.
Oh, okay.
Man, is that what I look like?
That's what you do.
Are you using OBS?
Yeah, but it's.
You might have to restart the OBS
Seriously, man. Like, I need to lose so much weight.
because it's probably not recognizing the.
Okay, I think that might help.
If I restart it, then that stops the stream now.
A little better. So like I said, it's the square, or it's actually like more of a rectangle, but not too long. And then you got your eyes, your nose, your mouth, your jaw lines, and your cheekbone lines. That's the Jim Lee technique right there. How's everybody doing?
Fair.
Are you doing well?
He's got it all down.
I know he's got it down. See, I like it. You got to put the eyebrows in though. You got to make sure you put eyebrows in.
Eyebrows.
No whoopies here. But yeah, very good. All right. So using the center line, what you want to do, again, very comic book hero style, right? Where they have no neck, basically. So what you're looking at, to make it a very strong character, if you're looking on your basic human sheet, if you notice, from the ears all the way down, it's just one line. And that creates that strong neck. Okay. You got it? Okay. Now what I like to do is have that collarbone or clavicle. Wow, look at that. Medical terms, right? So that collarbone, I like to do it at an angle like a V shape. Not too deep. Because if you go too deep, then your chest is going to be where your stomach is. Right? Can y'all see? I'm not even showing it to you. You don't need it. But yeah. Okay. Now where that V comes, right here, what I like to do is just put a single line right across. Because that's going to determine how wide your shoulders are. Okay? Everybody got it? So that's going to determine how wide your shoulders are. If you make it too wide, then it looks funny. If you make it too small, then it looks... Well, technically, if you make it smaller, then or like shorter, you'd have more of a Spider-Man look, Gambit look, that kind of thing. The wider you get, you're going to look like either Captain America, the Hulk, or so on and so forth, right? Now, in the middle of your shoulder length, I put little marks there so that you know where to go. What I do is from where that V starts on the top, and you know like how that V shape, I put your traps, so your shoulders. How are we doing?
Yep. Good. We started real quick.
Okay. All right. Now this is the fun part. So you don't have to draw a square anymore. What I like to do, from your chin it looks like you. Just gotta put the hair. Okay.
So
Everybody got their cross in the middle of the circle?
Yep.
Okay. Now with the squares that we built earlier, I'm gonna put,
We're back up.
we're back up?
Yeah.
Okay. Oh, okay.
That's nice.
I know, dope, right?
I know.
Okay. Now I don't have to do this and that and all that. Now what you're gonna do, underneath the main cross here, inside of the circle, you're gonna put 1, 2. You can kind of see where it's coming, right? Where the big one on the top would be the pecs. This would be the, what do they call that? What is it?
Abs.
Abs, right? And then we're gonna make the obliques and all that stuff.
The stuff I don't have.
The stuff that. All right. Anyway. Now, Normally I just do this because it goes all the way down to your waistline, right? Now, this should, if you want, we can start rounding these off because we're gonna round off anyway, right? Okay. Now with the one just below the chest muscles, the pec muscles, I like to do a little bit bigger on that. And the reason why, because that's where your rib cage is. Okay, that's where your rib bone is, right below. So that's where it juts out a little bit more. Okay. And then the rest are all abs, so you can just fill those in. See, normally I'd have Jacob over here just pose for me. But, he's working the computer today, so we're just going to have to wing it on this. Okay. Everybody caught up? You're doing a really good structure over there, though, man. I like it. Let me see what you got. See, no, that's good. I like it. What you got?
Well, I was just, just trying to get it until afterwards.
Okay. There you go. Good structure. Let me see what you got. Don't be shy. See, look at that. He's so shy. Look how cute his smile is. Okay, let me see yours, bro. Nice. See, again, you're using those squares. I dig it. Show them what you got. Show them what you got. Don't be shy. Just hey, John.
That's okay.
Show them what you got. Let me see. See, again, he's using the same basic structures, but his own style, right?
Squeeze in by Reed.
Yeah.
Where's the room?
Right here.
Block your way.
So this is John Jay. So everybody had a John Jay,
Hi.
and he just got a new haircut.
I did.
So dapper.
Thank you.
But yeah, so he's using the same basic structure, but he's using it in his own way, his own style, right? Because he's been drawing for a long time, and so he knows his own like body mass and everything. Okay. So I'm gonna give this back to him, so he can do his thing. Okay. Now right here on the side of your waistline, what I like to do is put two, what are they called?
Obliques.
Obliques, or the ovals, right? Because that's what makes that V shape. I'm glad the pencil is dark enough so that people can see it.
Oh. I like that the free can.
I know, right? Look at this, man. High tech, bro. High tech. Okay. And this is what I tell people, like when they ask, like, how do you draw the oblique muscles on the side here, like the wing muscles? I tell them just do a check mark, and basically that's what it looks like. But if you want to get technical, they'd look more like this. Inside circles, right? But you don't have to draw the circles. You can just draw that stuff. See, now I'm feeling really, really nervous because he's like, I got like these two guys over. Now, if you don't know John Jay, if you ever went to Long's or L&L's or whatever like that, that's all his artwork in there. Like for the like greeting cards and all that. He's a world famous, and I'm not kidding. He's a world famous cartoonist and illustrator. So now I'm very feeling the pressure. But he's humble, so he actually came to a class he doesn't.
I can learn a lot from this stuff. My anatomy is not that good. So.
Hey, I looked up your name and and then some of your things came up. Mostly that little flyer that you handed out for the this comic thing.
Oh, really?
That's like the most thing that came up in some of your things.
Right? Not my artwork, but the flyer.
No, steampunk. Some of the
Google.
steampunk ones came out though.
There you go. So okay, now let's do the anatomy of the arm. Okay. Again, when I told you to put that straight line, that's as far as your shoulders should be, right? Because the farther you are, the bigger you are, the thinner you are, the smaller you are, like Spider-Man and all that. what I did, and this is something that I had to learn. That line is the top of your shoulder. Okay, because a lot of people when they first start off, they go above like this, and that's like a basketball on your shoulder, right? You can't really move all that much. Now, what I do from this point here, can you guys see this up here? From this point where the pec muscle and the traps meet and all of that, that's where you start your line. Okay? Can you guys see that? That's where you start your line. Now, this right here, I guess the shoulder line, that's actually the top of your shoulder line. So that way it gives it a natural fall when you make your shoulder. See how it curves? Because if you look at your friend across from me, right? They got this part, and then their shoulders start from here. It doesn't start from here by your neck. It starts here at your shoulder line, at your clavicle. Okay. So you make kind of like a half baseball, softball, and for me, I put a straight line there. This is just for anatomy study. Okay. And the reason why is because you're gonna make another oval coming off of that one line. Are you learning something, Jacob? You're learning how to get glitches out.
One IT tech.
Right.
Learn about squares.
So everybody got their ovals? Okay. Now following that line that you drew first to show the structure, put another oval there. And for me, I'd like to put it like a little cylinder. Okay. Now this cylinder, basically it's from your bicep, on the bottom of your bicep to your forearm. Because you have to have something to bend, right? But I'm gonna let everybody get their structure in. Look at you. You want to switch? You want to come sit over here?
What?
You want to come sit over here? I'll take your class.
I'm faking it.
Whatever. Whatever. Okay.
For me, muscles is like 2 lines. That's it. My character is simple.
Right? No, she's doing amazing so far. Yeah, very good. Okay. Like, of course, there's the elbow. So what I do, I just put like a small little circle there just to make sure that I know where the elbow's at. Right? Because with that line, you're going to extend it a little bit and make another oval like this. And that would be the top forearm. I don't know. Man, I'm so bad at like actual calling it anatomy what it is. But from right here, this would be that oval that you see on the forearm. Okay?
You just make up your own names.
Yeah, the oval for
I'm
forearm
gonna call it
muscle.
the free arm.
It's weird. I gotta be honest. I haven't drawn like this in so long, because nowadays you just draw it. You don't actually break it down anymore.
Yeah.
So you got the oval to show your forearm here, this muscle. Now you're showing the under forearm muscle. Then you extend this one down, and there you go. It's a lot harder than I thought. Because like I said, normally I just draw and, but I haven't had to break down muscle structure in so long. But okay, so everybody up? Everybody good? Let me see what you got. Joe, let me see what you got, man.
No, this is terrible.
No, that's okay. See, but you know what, man? You're still learning it, man.
Yeah,
There you go. There you go. What you got? All right, star student. That's what I'm talking about. All right, let me see what you got. Don't worry about it. See, again, you're using your structures, though. That's how you're supposed to do. Okay? And what you got? She's got the sunshine on her. See, that's so good.
Everything good.
Okay. So let's get to the lower half now. So what I like to do, I like to make a band around the waistline, okay? Which is basically, looks like a puck if you really drew it out, right? That would be your waistline. In fact, you can kind of see it. Okay. Everybody got their waistlines in? Everybody got the waistline in? So basically you're drawing a puck. Okay, now from there you extend it a little bit. And remember that the cheekbone muscle that I told you that goes like this?
Yeah.
Basically it's the same thing for your area. Well, crotch area, yes. And then you just put a line there. Okay? I like this pencil, by the way. I got it at Fisher Way. And I keep forgetting that we're like broadcasting here. Okay. So
No worries,
Plug.
you're good.
right? Everybody got their area in?
Area.
It's just like the cheekbone line, which I never thought of it until just now. But now you're doing it in the area. You see it? I never noticed that until just now, until I literally said it. I'm kind of surprised you're here so early, bro.
What?
I'm surprised you're here so
Oh,
early.
no, I was trying to leave earlier, but things
Me too. Me too. I tried to leave my house early. I got here like 5 minutes before we started.
At least you got your
All right, everybody got the area done? Yeah? Okay. Now, in the middle of that line, I don't even know what they're called. The leg to hip area. I put a dot there so that you guys can see it. Okay. You kind of follow the same curve as the arm. Right? There's a reason for that. Are you guys doing it? Oh, they gotta wait 30 seconds. I forgot. All right. This will get a lot more funner when we start doing like motion and everything. But this is just the basic structures for the male anatomy, comic book style. I have to be very specific on that. All right. So what we're gonna do now? This is for the leg. It's really about how do I explain this? It's about the form, because a lot of guys. I mean, there's different guys that draw different types of legs. Okay. For me, I like to do an oval shape like this. Oh, not too big. Right. And then a circle at the bottom. And I'll show you why in just a second. Okay. You got it? 28, 29, 30. Right? Am I right? Look, he turned around just in time. It's sweet. You don't want to draw with us, man? He's like, I'm better than you, trust me. But all right. Okay, so like I said, what I like to do is do a little or elongated oval shape with a circle at the bottom. Right? That center line, I don't know. I guess like the easiest way for me to do it is to put teardrops inside of that center line. Oh, wait. Wait. Okay. So like that. The inside of your leg, the muscle goes a little bit longer than the outside of your leg. See how that goes? So keep that in mind. No, you're good. Keep forgetting that, you know, you need to erase. So it makes it easier for you guys to see. There we go. So teardrop. The one on the inside is a little bit longer than the one on the outside. Okay? Now if we leave it like this, then we could all be millionaires and create Deadpool and just have no feet or nothing. But okay, has anybody seen Deadpool 2, by the way?
Yes.
Okay, you guys shouldn't see Deadpool 2.
Yeah.
Right. Okay. So anyway, okay. So what you like to do at the bottom of your thigh, your knee has to support your thigh. So a lot of times when you see comic book art from like the '90s, I'm not gonna name any Rob Liefelds or anything. They tend to forget that the knee has to support the rest of your body weight. Okay. So what you got to do is extend that into the knee, like that. Okay, it goes in and out.
Watch Robbie on your stream.
Right? You know, if the movie
And by the way,
if the movie can make fun of it, so can we, right? And he even made a character called Pouch Man. So, okay. So if you look at the structure of your legs, it'll be able to support the weight of your body and whatever you're carrying, like 1,000 guns or knives or whatever, okay, or a cape, because those are heavy. So you have to make sure that everything you draw can support the weight of a human being. Okay. There we go. That's the basic structure of that. All right. If anybody needs more paper, let me know. Hi, Loretta.
Wait,
I keep forgetting that we're... Yes.
do we work like how you showed us half of it? Do you want us to do like the other half?
Well, you can do the other half. The only reason why I'm doing only half of this is because basically you're doing the same thing on the other side. Okay. So you can put in the basic structure, right? The cylinders and the circles and all that. So yeah, you can do both sides. All right. Wow, I haven't broken it down like this in forever. Maybe I should have like prepared for this. Nah, no need.
impromptu.
Like I've been so busy this past couple of weeks, months that I just yeah, let's go ahead and put this together like yesterday. So, but yeah, basically you're doing the same thing on the other side. Try to keep your lines the same, right? Because your elbow lines, if one is too high, the other one's too low, then it looks like you have one arm like this, one arm like this. Right? Your wrist, elbows, wrist, knee line, waistline, shoulders, so on and so forth. It doesn't always have to match. I mean, let's be honest. If we all stood in front of like one of those like things that show you where your alignment is on your body, half of us would be like this, but we don't even notice it because our heads are like this, you know. Most of the people on the planet have pretty bad posture, so don't think that everything has to be perfectly in line. Especially in comic books when there's a lot of movement, a lot of dynamics in it. A lot of it's not going to look like it's straight lines. It's going to be a lot of dynamic movement and all that. So. I give you all a minute to do that. While I have a sip of Monster.
Where's mine?
Oh, you want one?
What do you got?
I did.
Oh.
Bambucha.
My man.
So again, with this basic mail structure, you can do almost every comic book character known to man. The only ones that you like, well, this structure is very much. You can do Wolverine, you can do Captain America, Batman, right?
Yeah, no Batman.
I sort of got
Right.
the shape of the 80s He-Man action
go.
figure.
Yeah.
Right. Right. You can do Batman, you can do Superman, all kinds of
That always
stuff.
cracked me
I don't
up.
think you'd be mentioning Batman and Superman since you work for Marvel.
Well, you know what? Jim Lee, which is basically the guy over at DC right now, he just drew a couple of Marvel characters and all that. You can draw whatever you want. You can mention whatever you want. Just can't promote whatever. you can't go to like conventions and all that,
Some jump back and forth.
right?
Yeah.
Probably.
Right. So you can either have Superman, Spider-Man, all kinds of stuff. This basic structure will go pretty much for like 90% of them. There's different variants. Like for example, the Hulk. Of course, his shoulders are gonna be all the way up here, right? And he's gonna have a wider.
He has no neck.
He's got no neck. His shoulders are gonna be bigger, of course. Everything is just bigger, except for his head.
Yeah.
If you notice, so that's an easy way to think about drawing the Hulk. You draw the basic head and then make everything else bigger, right? For Spider-Man, basically you draw a basic head and make everything else skinnier, slenderer.
Slender man.
Okay. All right. So I'm gonna have John Jay come up here and teach you how to draw hands.
No.
Yes, please.
Right? Okay. So
Yes. And the feet.
and the feet. We're gonna do like a little section of that. Then we'll get on to basic page structure because that's how comic books are created, right? So, everybody got enough paper? Do we need more? Do we need more? Do we need more? Nobody need more? Because I got a whole bunch, and I have to buy it. So I want to just use it all up. No? Okay. Well, let's start in the corner then. Now, there's a whole bunch of different ways to draw hands and feet. There's not one solid way to do it. Okay. Whatever technique that works for you, let it work for you. Todd McFarlane that did Spawn and Spider-Man, he's got a weird anatomy when it comes to hands. Right? It's very cartoony. Then there's a Jim Lee, which is like very blocky. Wes Patachio, for some odd reason, his two fingers in the middle are always stuck together. I don't know if you ever noticed that. Go ahead, check it out. But there's different ways to draw hands. Now, this is for me the most easiest basic way that I always teach like aspiring artists, especially at the table when I'm doing the thing. I draw a circle, and I draw another circle in the corner here. Now, actually, circle, yeah, this cross in the middle is so awesome. Okay, circle, cross in the middle. Okay. How's everybody doing with this? There you go. How's everybody doing over there? in the sunlight. Man, that sunlight! I never knew we could get sunlight in here.
Yeah.
Every time,
It's so
every time we
dark
do
and
free
then-
comic book day,
Yeah.
it's like so dark in here.
Oh, really?
I didn't know. All you have to do is
Yeah, just
boom, you
thing.
killing,
Gotta close it for photos, though.
right?
Yeah.
Okay, so everybody got the circles in for the hand structure. Okay, what I like to do, because if you look at your hand, there's that curve already. So what I do, 1, 2, 3, 4. 1. Middle finger, of course, is longer. And 4. Okay. He laughs at dad jokes. He doesn't even. Okay. All right. So now, once you got your fingers lined up with the circle, because basically you're just going around in a circle again, right? Then from here, you have your thumb. What I like to do is draw an oval, because that's your thumb print pad, and that's it. Basic structure. There's other techniques where you're doing more of a, I don't know what this is called, this kind of shape. Where you have your finger there, finger here, finger here, finger here. Again. But again, it all comes onto the same curve. Like guys like John Jay over here, he's been, I'm just using it as a reference, but he's been drawing hands since like forever, and different angles. Okay, now if you want to do a fist coming at you, I basically just make a rectangle and put your fingers in. 3 lines in the middle, right? Curve the top, curve the bottoms. And I guess the thumb will go on this side. You got yourself a thumb. You want to make it more in depth. Right? Okay. Now, if you want to make that superhero like jutting hand like this, like coming at you, again, you start off with the circle, but a little bit more of an ovalish circle with the cross in there. Except for me, I like to put the cross kind of on a curve so that you know where the curve is gonna go. There we go. And now keep in mind that cross, the reason why I put that cross in there is because that's your middle finger, right? Now what I like to do sometimes is put your joint lines. So, bless you. Put your joint lines in there. Again, doesn't have to be perfect because we're just, testing some theories out here. How you doing over there? It's okay. You're doing all right. All right. Okay. But again, you put that secondary circle in the corner. And your thumb pad. We can go a little higher. Let's go a little higher. So basically, if you know how to draw like 4 hands, you can draw a whole comic book with that. You know what I mean? Because even with the fist, if you draw the fist at different angles, 2, 3, right? You can hold a sword. Right? If you want to say, for example, you want to hold a gun, which, by the way, guns are bad, so don't shoot anybody. Okay. You got your one finger, your trigger finger. And then the rest of your hand goes in there. This isn't lining up, but that's okay. You kind of get the basic structure, right? Let's put a fingernail there. So basic hand structure. There's a million ways to draw hands. I mean, literally a million ways to draw hands. So I don't think we can get into that for the next 7 minutes. Okay. But again, the basic structure of the hand is there's always a center line to everything in a human anatomy, no matter what it is. Because you got 2 of these, 2 of these, 2 nostrils, 2 of everything. But 2 nostrils, right? But if you look at the hand, there's a center here and a center here. Okay. Where your thumb is, that's your center to your palm, and your center for the middle finger. Okay? So you just gotta remember that structure, and you can basically do any angle that you want. The classic Jim Lee. I do a lot of Jim Lee stuff. I don't know if you noticed that. There you go. So the classic Jim Lee hand where he's come like this at you. I don't know why he does it, but that's just how he does it. And it's iconic now. But right? There's all different kinds of ways. If anything, go online or go to your local library.
There you go.
Go to your local library because there's so many books out there that you can, you don't have to sit there and have to, I got to do this and then you got to rewind and all that. It's literally sitting in front of you in a book somewhere. So find that book and really learn how to do it. Okay? All right. Storytelling. Seriously, I should have John come up here and do this. But basic page structure. I think, who needs a piece of paper? All right. Come on up and get it. Because these are 11 by 17 boards. How many you got there? How many you need? Let's give you 3 on that table anyway. Thank you, Jacob. Can you do me a favor? Can you pass these to everybody over there too? You need one? I got chalk. Yeah, look at that. You have to sign that for me.
There you go.
You got one?
We're gonna use this.
John, if you need, let me know.
I'm good, thank you.
Okay, so it's about 12 o'clock. What time do we have till for this? Okay, so let's take another 10 minutes. Okay, so this is the basic structure of how I normally look at a comic book page. Okay, when I first start my concept for comic book pages, I do it on what they're called thumbnails, which is basically about this size, right? Comparatively to the size of the to the actual board I'm drawing on. Okay, because what I want to look at is like, what's the story you're trying to tell?
Sorry, guys.
Okay. Oh, you're killing me.
You better.
I'm up there.
Oh, there you are.
There. Is it there? Is it there? Okay. Right? So what these are called thumbnails. And the reason why is because literally it's supposed to be the size of your thumb. Now, when you're thinking about what kind of story you're trying to tell, a lot of times you have to have an establishing shot, which is basically the world that you're living in, right? Or the world that your characters are going to be in. You have to think of the establishing shot, your action shots, and if it's just a single page, which most aren't, but you have to remember that your storytelling has to continue on to the next page. Okay, so what a lot of people do, it's called a Z formation. Okay, anybody heard of that?
Yep.
Okay, so the Z formation. Basically, when you're reading a book, any book, except for maybe anime or Japanese style, American style is, or English, I guess, would be a Z formation where your eyes start from this corner, go here, down, and to the end of the page. Okay, so you got that Z formation. Now, what I like to think of, I'm just gonna make up a story right now. Okay, so let's say I got my establishing shot, which is a city, right? Right. And let's say my character is looking over the city. Okay. I wonder who this could be. No, it's not Batman. Okay, it's kind of Batman. Right. Now he's looking over the city. Okay, city skyline. Let's say put some of this in there. Let's make it a moon so it's at night. Okay, that'll be your establishing shot. Basically telling the readers, right, that they should be looking this way. Okay, and up here you would have, this city's in shambles and only I can save it. You know what? This city's in shambles and only I can save it. Okay, because I don't want it to be too Batmanish, right? Okay, so let's just do this. Okay, so your establishing shot would be he's in the city. He's probably above the city because you're looking down on the city skyline, right? And his eye line is facing this way. That way, your eye line will do the same thing, right? So you have your structure. What is it called? Dialogue box. Right, say there, here, and even up here. Sometimes, you want to make sure that the reader knows exactly what city it is. Let's say, oh look, it's the lady with the torch. So all of a sudden, you got Manhattan, New York, or New York, or whatever. Okay, again, that's all establishing where you're at. Then, for me, I like to put a secondary where he joins in on the action. He sees something going on, okay? For example, again, this is very rough. Normally, this is my my thumbnail stage, but I'm drawing it on a bigger level, okay? Oh no, he just stole my car. Somebody stop him, right? I just stole your car. Now he's coming from a little bit farther away, right? So now, oh look, I'm jumping. So he jumped off the building. Can you see it out there? Okay. So he's jumping off the building. He's thinking, you know what? I'm gonna go help this guy that just stole my car. Man, you really should be doing this part.
No.
Okay. So now you establish that he's in the action now, right? So if you look, it goes this way, right? Your eyeball tends to look at this guy right here, our main character, right? So you're establishing that you're looking at the main character jumping into the scene, right? But a lot of people think that the car would be the focus, which you want the car to be the focus because he's the not procrastinator. Is it procrastinator? Procrastinator. The bad guy. He's a bad guy. Antagonist. Thank you. He's the antagonist. So the protagonist would be this guy right here, which is your main character. But you know, you gotta make sure that everybody knows that this is the bad guy. Okay. Now, you're coming this way. You're gonna go back up that way as a Z formation. Man, I look like one of your like when you start doing your. You should see his process. Like I don't know how you do it. Okay. Right, but let's get rid of this. So let me see. Let's do a close up, so that way you know exactly that he's coming in for the kill, or he's like, "I'm gonna get you. You're not gonna escape with that dude's car." All right. Yeah, that's Batman. All right. So anyway, so now you got a close up of the face of your main character, and that way people can see the emotion of what he's going through. Okay, the emotion is what's gonna propel your storyline, because if you don't know what he's feeling, then you can't get that feeling yourself. Okay. So now you have that emotion like, oh, I'm mad at him because he stole somebody's car, and you're not supposed to do that. You know, there's beaky bikes everywhere, right? So, then you drop down here where, let's put that square, outline. Right? Superhero landing. Alright. Again, let's make him Batman Supermanish. Alright, so anyway. Let's just say it's Batman from now on. Okay. Right, just draw on the cape. And you're good. Okay. So he landed on the car. Crashed the car a little bit. Gotta have that boom, right? That splash. The car's going out of control. The tire's on the outside now. Gotta have the guy inside looking up like, oh, what just happened? I don't know what happened. I stole a car, and all of a sudden I got Batman. Like, why would you even steal a car in Gotham? You already know Batman's gonna get you, right? But people just don't. You gotta learn. Anyway, so now you have that Z formation again, right? Where you have the emotion, lands on the car, getting ready to take the guy out of the car. Then you have the bottom splash. Now, when you're drawing a comic book, you can do it any style you want, right? Like, I mean, literally, you can just draw whatever you want. But the easiest way to make sure that you're, oh, I guess you can see it. Never mind. Okay. That you can make sure that your reader's eyes have time to adjust to the next frame is what we call gutters. The gutters are the in between the frames, because a lot of times when people start off doing their comic, they forget to put gutters in, and all of a sudden you're looking at like puzzles, and you don't know where your eye should go. Okay, this is think of it like a movie. Even though it's an action sequence, every frame is a separate frame. There's always, you might not see it because it's literally like a 0.0003 seconds, but your mind has time to catch up to the next frame. So that's what the gutters are for, and so that your mind can actually say, okay, I established shot or this panel, now I can move on to the next panel. Now I can move on to the next and to the next and to the next. And that way, it's easier to read. Okay, and so now you got that, and I don't know how to draw this now. So for me, I do kind of a medium action shot where you can kind of see what he's doing to the bad guy. So again, your eye line. If you want to make that upper angle where you're looking at the guy, the bad guy, because he's up like this instead of like this, you put the eye line a little bit farther up. You put the ear farther down. Give him mohawk. Screw it. All right. Man, I didn't know we. See, I thought we were gonna like I'd have a lot of time. Yeah, I didn't have a lot of time, but so for again, it's just to establish the Z formation. Okay, I don't know if you can see that, where it'll Z here, and then again Z here. You see it? That's basic. That's a real simple, basic way to structure your storytelling. There's a million different ways, so just go nuts, okay? But you got to make sure that the reader knows how to read your panel structure, okay? So you can't have like a circle here and then circle here, and this is supposed to say this for this one. It has to read in that certain way, okay? Or else your mind gets confused and my hand gets dirty. So, but yeah, there you go. So that's the basic structure for that, and. Well, how much more time? Man, we already went over like a lot. You guys mind if we keep going a little bit? Okay, like another 5 minutes maybe. Now, this is what I tell people about human movement. A lot of the times, human movement can go no more than a bag of rice. Okay? So if you can't bend that bag of rice like this, the human body can't do that either. Okay? So, for example, it's like this. Then you have your arms, your legs. You see how that goes? So think of it as a bag of rice. See, in the mainland, it'd be a bag of potatoes. So that's how I basically structure my movement. For example, if you want to have them like flying like Superman, your head here, the basic structure. Actually, no, I'll go this way. See, now I know why it's kind of messy when you do it, because like, honestly, when you're doing movement, like structures, be messy. Like the faster you do it, for some odd reason,
The energy that you get.
yeah, the energy is, you can actually feel it, and I love it. Because you start doing too much technical work when you're doing your movement structure, that's when you get stuck. You get really stiff. So yeah, just try to flow with your lines. Doesn't have to be perfect. Or let's just do this. See what I mean? Or if you do want to have a kind of like that Wolverine type style, just center line there, center line there, your mouth all mad. Fix your face. Get up. All right. Gotta have a neck, right? Everybody has a neck. Crotch area. Your shoulders again. Bicep. Basically, a lot of the structure and a lot of the movement has to do with just shapes. Okay? Circles, ovals, whatever. So again, it's the basic same structure as the one that we did earlier, but just now you're putting movement to it, right? Because you still got the knees, the circle knees. Hey, look, I'm better than a Rob Liefeld. I drew a foot. All right. See, I can't say nothing because I met the guy and I like his kids. You know what I mean? Like I literally was sitting there and drawing with his kids at one of the shows I was doing. He comes up to the table like, "Who's this guy?" Drawing with my kids at my table. And they're like, "Hey, Dad, this is Free." He's like, "Oh, okay." And then after a while, he actually, "Hey, Free, how you doing?" I'm like, "Hey, he knows my name." I don't think he remembers me now because Deadpool 2 came out. So, but yeah. So again, it's the movement of your structure. So if you really think about it, that's your center line. That's not stiff. It's not stagnant. It's actually flowing. It's moving. Right? Your shoulders are hunched down. Hunched down. Your hips are at a different angle. Right? But it all came from the structure of a rice bag or potato bag. Right? Because if you can't bend that in a certain way, then you can't bend the body in that certain way. Okay? Can you see all that? All right. Well, we went a little over, but thank you all for joining us, and hopefully you learned something. If not, then at least you got to hang out with me, and because I don't do anything but just sit at home and draw. But again, thank you so much. If you have any questions, just let me know. And I'm going to be sitting here until the next class, I guess. But yeah.
Oh, no.
Thank you guys. I appreciate it.
Oh. Yeah, I missed the first one.
So anyway, thank you all for hanging out. Because I know everybody here is from the first session. And, you're all just hanging out in here, drawing and stuff. Where did you go?
Well, I went to get lunch.
Oh, where'd you go?
It's called Edo Shine. It's a little cannery food court.
And she didn't bring any back. No, I'm just kidding. All right, so how to produce a comic from concept to distribution. A lot of times when people get into the comic industry, either they just think you have to write it because they're writers, they're creators, or they just think that they have to draw it because all they do is draw and they pencil and all that. But they don't really think of the actual process and how long and how many steps it takes to get from a concept to distribution, which means on the shelves. So first we start off with concept. Concept is basically the kind of story you want to tell. If you want to do sci-fi, if you want to do fantasy, if you want to do realistic. And when I say realistic, I mean not so much like realistic as in like a movie type realistic, but as in like Sandman, kind of, that kind of emotional like storytelling. Because there's different kinds of storytelling, like X-Men. You can't really think of X-Men as a Sandman book. We can't think of Sandman as a Hellboy book and a Hellboy book as Wonder Woman or Superman. There's all different types of styles of writing, and so you got to think of your own concept and what you want to do. But let's say, for example, we'll go with the easiest one, and I hate to say it because it is the easiest one, is say a character like Superman, where basically he can do everything. He's indestructible. He can lift 1 billion tons. He can go around in a circle and change time. Right? So, say that you got a character like that. What makes that character, especially because he's so omnipotent or omnipotent or however you want to say it, the only way to make him relatable is to have flaws, is to have what they consider a character development. But character development, the reason why Superman doesn't just take over the world, because he can literally do it. I mean, you shoot a nuclear missile at him, it's not going to even phase him. He'll step back and go, boom, all right, why'd you do that for? But what makes him relatable or makes him likable is that he grew up in the human world. Even though he's an alien, he grew up in the human world, so he has a love for the human world. Because if he didn't, I mean, he could destroy everything, right? but that's where character development comes in. So you're basically telling your origin stories. Um, the reason why Wolverine is so well liked or well loved is because there's so many different layers to what happened to him and what made him crazy, what made him love Jean Grey, what made him, you know, try to teach Jubilee, like that kind of story. It develops over time. Like Chris Claremont, he did X-Men for over 30 years, and he basically was the architect for the whole X-Men universe. And that kind of storytelling took so long to develop why Cyclops does what he does, or why Wolverine is a mad little Canadian. You know, he's the one that kind of developed that. So take your time in developing your character. But even bad guys, like the Joker, he's so he's liked, of course, because he's crazy. You know, just like Harlequin. But there's right, but there's so much more behind that story that they really never tapped into because they want that mystique of him. But again, let's say we go with Harlequin. You know, she was Joker's psychiatrist, right? And so she got caught up in that whole world of what he does, and so that makes Harlequin a character that you want to know more about, right? So character development, story development. So, for example, you have a character like what was that guy's name? Starkiller Lord. Lord Starkiller. I have no idea what he is, right? Because I've never played the game. So he's Darth Vader's secret. I mean, that right there makes me want to know more about him, right? So that's character development. Now, from there, you create a story around your character. So basically, every comic book out there has to have a character or a character team. Even with the team, you had the dynamics between certain characters like Wolverine and Cyclops, where they don't like each other because of the fact that they're two different types of people. You know, I'm going to go in there, I'm going to kick their butt, and I'm going to just do whatever I want. And then there's Cyclops like, no, you got to do it more structured so we don't hurt anybody. The story development for like what's his name? Lord Starkiller. Yeah. Especially in the game, you can. I mean, I'm talking, so it's hard to remember. It's Lord Starkiller. He, in order to know more about him, you have to develop a story around him. And so the more in-depth your story is. Now, don't get me wrong. Don't sit there and do like 1,000-page story on one character, because over the years or over the few months that you're developing a story, you might want to change that character. So you don't want to spend 1,000 pages on some character that you might in the 5th or 6th page while doing your actual story. You're like, I kind of want to change it. You know what I mean? Because it's supposed to be an evolving story. It's supposed to be an evolving process where you don't need to have it so structured where Wolverine is Wolverine. No, Wolverine can love somebody. He doesn't have to kill Wendigo all the time or, you know, fight the Hulk all the time. He can actually like hang out with the Hulk and have a beer. You know what I mean? Or soda, right? And so, you know, again, it's the story developing around the characters. Story structure. If you jump around too much, your core audience or your readers aren't going to know exactly what's going on. And with that, when that happens, people, especially nowadays, right? If you can't get them within a few pages in your first comic, they're pretty much going to drop you out. I mean, that's the bottom line. Especially now that you have so many comics coming out. You know, X-Men number 7, X-Men number 1 again, X-Men number 1 again and again. You know, all these reboots and everything. The reason why they're doing that is because the short attention span. Because back then, Chris Claremont, X-Men, 30 years. Now, they're not allowing the story to develop. But that doesn't mean you can't. We don't work for Marvel. We don't work for DC. We don't have a deadline. If your story takes 5 years to write, so be it. You know, you're writing your own story. Nobody's telling you what to do. Okay? But with your story structure, you don't want to jump from, oh, okay, so we're in Manhattan 2018, and then the next page, oh, I'm in rural Japan in like the 1600s. You know what I mean? Like, you don't want to jump too far. I guess you don't want to jump too far and too long and too short every single time. What you want to do, you want to establish your structure first, especially when you're on the writing, like creating a story. You want to make sure that everybody can follow your story. Even if you do a flashback or a flash forward, oh, flash forwards is so horrible. But but when you do a flashback, you have to establish the reason why you do a flashback and when you come back from that flashback. Because a lot of times, a lot of storytellers, a lot of creators, they'll do a flashback and all of a sudden you're back into the normal world. And as a reader, you're like, what just happened? Like, I don't understand. Wait, I got to read again. But you don't want that. You want the story to be readable all the way through. And then, just like a movie, you go back and see it again. And then you pick up on the subtleties. You pick up on that little Easter egg of the Venom symbiote. You know what I mean? That nobody saw in this issue. But all of a sudden, you go back again. You're like, oh, there it is. So you want to make sure that your story is structured where it's very readable, no matter what. Okay? Writing and rewriting. Getting back to the point of you don't want to write a 1,000-page story about one character or even one story arc to the point where you don't change anything. You want to make sure that you open your mind to changes, because sometimes when you're first writing it, you're all in, you're all in and you're all excited and your emotions are going, and you read it again like a week later, you're like, oh my god, that doesn't make any sense. Like, why does he have an orange in this panel and he has an apple in this one? You know what I mean? That's just an example. So you gotta, find your continuity. You gotta write and rewrite as many times as you need to. I tell a lot of my writers that I do independent work for, it's called finish, not perfect. And I tell a lot of artists too. Finish your story arc. Find a beginning, middle, second middle, ending. And when I say second middle is because there's a story arc that has to flow. A lot of times if you just do this beginning story arc and then it just drops, that's the ending. So now you have to think about where you are and then really think about where you're going to end it. Okay? So finish, not perfect. Now, I tell a lot of creators and writers this, that it doesn't have to be a perfect story. There's a reason why... If you think your first issue has to be perfect, you're wrong. Your second, third, fourth, fifth issue doesn't even have to be perfect, as long as they flow together. When you get to the closer to your final story arc, when your final your ending, that's when you gotta really think about the perfection. Thank you. The perfection of your story. But even then, it's never going to be perfect. I mean, that's just life. But finish, not perfect. And I tell these to artists too. Like, if you look at, man, I go back to Jim Lee all the time. Right? But if you look at Jim Lee's early stuff on Punisher War Journal and all that, it's great work. Don't get me wrong. But you look at his first page that he did for that to the page that he just did for, Superman Action Comics, 1000. I mean, it's night and day. It's really good, don't get me wrong, but this is so... Okay. It's really good, don't get me wrong. But this one over here is just ridiculously good, because every day you get better. So, finish, not perfect. You finish the page, it's not going to be perfect, but it tells a story. Okay, move on to the next page. Because if not, you're never going to get it done. I've worked with so many writers that keep rewriting because they think they need to have it perfect. And I'll tell them, it's either two things. Either I'm going to jump off this project and I'm going to keep the money that you already paid me because I already did the work. And I literally have done 22 pages. And then the guy says, you know what, man, I want to rewrite everything. Whatever, pay me again. Do another 22 pages. Oh, man, I got to do this again. Dude, you're just going to keep paying me, right? But at the same time, as an artist and as a creator, you want to see people see your work. You want to see people, go to the comic shop, pick up your book and say, oh, this is actually pretty cool, right? Or not even that. It's like, oh, dude, this sucks, but you might get better. You know what I mean? So as an artist, I told him, as an artist, I want to see my stuff out there. So either we just push it out and try to be perfect the next time. You're never going to be perfect, but push for perfection. The next time and the next time and the next time and the next time. It's never going to be perfect, but at least it's a finished product out on the on the newsstands. So that's how I structure my stuff. Like when I work with creators that, especially ones that start off, that just they literally wrote their first comic or their first 22-page arc. There's like, oh, so what do I do now? It's like, well, have you thought about this? And they're like, well, not really. And it's like, okay, well, this is how you do it. I don't know if you guys have these pages, but it basically it structures it down. How to pitch your story. So now you went from concept, right? You developed your character, you developed your story, you have your story structure where it's not jumping all around like a spider. You wrote and rewrote everything, and now it's finished. It's not perfect, but it's finished. How do you pitch your story? Now there's different ways to do this, because if I'm going to start off as a writer. As a writer, if you don't know how to draw, and a lot of people like myself don't, right? Then you have to find your team. You have to find your artist team, which basically consists of, well, you're the writer, and then there's the penciler. Sometimes a penciler can be your inker as well, especially on the independent level where it's just cheaper. And also, a lot of the times, artists nowadays, because it's so in demand, that if I can ink myself on a project, then I'm gonna, because I can tell them, well, it's 150 for a page, but it's 250 for an inked page, and it's one process. You don't have to send it to anybody else. You gotta pitch it, and they're like, oh yeah, okay, I'll pay you 250. Boom, you got $250 for a page, right? But sometimes you have to get an inker, because sometimes pencilers like myself, I don't really like to ink my own because I want to work with other creators. I want to work with other inkers because I like certain styles. It also makes it so that as a penciler, I can, if I trust the inker to work his style over mine, excuse me, then I can just do whatever I want. Say, there you go, and it's so much easier. It's so much faster. But sometimes you have to ink your own. So you got the writer, the penciler, the inker, the colorist, and that's another thing. The colorist, on an independent level, there's a lot of times you'll get black and white independent. But now that you can go online and order 25 comics of whatever you drew, and you don't have a limit or whatever, a lot of people are starting to color their stuff as an independent. Now back 20 years ago, that was unheard of. You'd have what's the aardvark name? Cerebus the aardvark. That was black and white. Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. That was black and white. Usagi Yojimbo. That was black. Everything was black and white when it was on the independent level. But now, it's so much easier. Internet. Comic Wellspring. If you're into that, or Kablam or whatever, they do color version. Inside colors. So you got to find a colorist. Then you got to find a letters. That's actually harder than it looks, because I tried lettering my stuff and it just looks like a 3-year-old kid did it. But it gets out there. There's a letters, and then you got to find an editor to proofread everything. And so, I mean, a lot of times the writer will be the editor, but at the same time, as a writer, you need somebody else to look over your shoulder, because sometimes you write and you're doing this and you forget to WRITE. Sometimes you miss the W, so it's RITE, and you don't notice it because you're just going. So you need another set of eyes to at least look at your stuff. That's why editors are very important. And how to pitch your story is, like, for example, I got a story that I want to pitch John Jay here to draw for me, to ink, to pencil. I gotta tell him my concept. I gotta tell him my storyline. It's what's called the elevator pitch. You got 3 minutes, right, from top to bottom in the elevator, or less, 3 minutes or less, to tell him exactly what the story is, and you gotta draw him in, right? The elevator pitch. So I'm telling John, hey John, I got this thing about Kakimochi Kakimochi Rangers, right? And if he says, I like that concept, let's see what he can do with it. Then you send him your concept art. Your concept story, and if you allow him to develop the look of the characters, then that's a collaboration between creators. If not, if you already have what your characters already look like, then you give it to him and say, these are what the characters are going to look like. this is the kind of concept I wanted to look, and how I wanted to feel, and it's gonna be gritty, it's gonna be bloody, whatever, or it's gonna look like bronies and what is it called? Yeah, bronies, or they're gonna look like Rick and Morty. Like so, again, there's different types of concepts where you can actually develop it with your artist team. And so, for example, if I asked John, are you down to pencil at a certain price, page rate? That's what it's called, by the way, page rate. And we agree to whatever terms we are. And I say, well, what about inks? He's like, I don't really like inking myself. It's like, and then so basically, what I would do, I would tell him, well, either I can find an inker for you, or if you have any inkers that you've worked with before that you trust, give me the names and I can try and contact them and get this team together. And he says, I got this guy named Reed. He's super big. He's humongous, but he's a great inker. I said, okay, let me call him up. Right? And so I go, hey, Reed, I like your hair, man. What kind of inks you got? And so he shows me his ink work, right, in his portfolio. And I say, you know what? Have you worked with John before? Yes, I worked on John's stuff, and we gel well together, and so on and so forth. What's your page rate? And then so we get into that, and basically it's the same concept every time, where you gotta pitch your story, because he might say, yeah, I like working with John, but I hate your story, dude. I'm not working on this thing. You know what I mean? I was like, okay, well, you know anybody else, right? There's always deviant art. There's all these artists for hire. I try not to go on Craigslist because of the fact that, let's be honest, like there's a lot of unsavory people. But at the same time, sometimes you might find that hidden gem that nobody knew about because he just started, but he's really good, and so you might be able to get him for a cheaper price. It's always good to save a little bit of money, right? And so that's how you start to find an artist team. What you want to make sure that especially your pencil, ink, and colors work well together. For me, I work with a few inkers, but I actually ink a lot of my own work, depending on what project it is. But a lot of my colors come from Hawaii artists because I like working with Hawaii artists. They're so talented and they're so nice about everything, because I'm like a stickler for, man, you got to color this, you got to do this, you got to do that. And instead of being like, yeah, screw you, they're actually like, okay, I'll get on it. And one of my colors, her name is Napua Ahina, and she's amazing. But sometimes I have to reel myself in, because I'm like, okay, so this, I like this, but can we do this? Can you do this? Can you do this? And I didn't realize the process on the coloring process. It's ridiculous. I draw one line, she has to color everything, and make it look like magic. And so I kind of like, okay, well, I'm sorry, if you can. But even then, it's actually really nice to work with somebody that you trust to do a great job, do it on a deadline, and that you work well together. So try to find that niche, within your group. I don't know, like especially with an artist team. A lot of times, artists are, they're a finicky group, I guess. I don't know how to explain that. Sometimes they just don't want to draw. Sometimes they go days and days without drawing, and all of a sudden the deadline comes up, and they're like, I'm only halfway done the project. You kind of got to work with that, because you don't want to lose a great artist, for one. But also, how long did it take you to write it, right? It might have took you longer than expected. So, and again, we're not working for Marvel or DC, where if you don't get it done, you don't get paid the $300 a page. This is your project. This is your concept. This is your artwork. This is everything that you put together. You're on your own timeline. Like, don't get me wrong, don't wait till you're dead. But at the same time, even if it takes an extra few months or a month or two to get it just right, what's the difference? It's your story that you're telling. So take that time. Now, the next one is how to secure finances for your project. There's so many ways now. I mean, there's Indiegogo, there's Kickstarter, there's GoFundMe. All these crowdfunding? Is that what it's called? Crowdfunding sources that you can do, but some people don't want to do that. I don't know why. Some people say, no, I'll just use my own money and I'll just finance it myself. And, I get it. But at the same time, for me, I use crowdfunding online as There's three reasons. Number one, because the overhead that you actually use to produce your comic, I mean, it takes a lot of money because you're not just paying for an artist, you're not just paying for an inker, and you're not just paying a writer if you have a writer. You're paying for all of these processes, but also you're paying for the production, the shipping. Oh man, the shipping. Shipping is just I can literally get a single comic book produced for $1.50. In order for me to get that $1.50 book into the hands of the guy in Alabama, it takes me $7. You know what I mean? So all of this money has to be there. You know what I mean? So what I tell people, I say, well, the reason why I do crowdfunding is number one, is because it helps with the overhead. Number two, it's actually using it as a pre-sale, for the book. So now you have 20 or 30 books out there that you're guaranteed to have out there in the world. I've shipped to Japan, Germany, France, and so my book and my artwork's going to be out there. My writing or whatever, it's going to be out there, and it's a pre-sale. So now, for the next book I have, I can say, I'm going to do a crowdfunding, or if not, you can say, okay, for the first one I'm going to do crowdfunding, so just to get that book out there. Second one, I can just go straight to my website where you can get it straight from my website, right? So you don't have to buy the $30 package. You can just get my book and pay the shipping. And then third, for me, it makes it so that way people that want to support you, that want to get your book and get the poster and the signature and the metal card and all that kind of crazy, collectible stuff, they have an opportunity to do so. So it's not like you being selfish, like, oh, I want all the money. Because honestly, you make $2,000 and you sell 20 books. Each one of those books will cost you $10 to ship, produce, all that kind of stuff. So you're not really making any money. Don't get into comics to make money. That is just straight up. I mean, you get into comics because you love the art form, you love the storytelling, and you want to connect with people. Don't think you're going to be Jim Lee. Don't think you're going to be head of DC in 20 years. You know what I mean? So it might happen though.
$9,000 of artists are drawing.
Right? Isn't that crazy?
He did that for the auction.
Yeah.
The last three pieces went for 7, 8, and 9 grand or something.
Grand. And we're talking like black and white. He's not even doing, all that crazy. It's just black. Anyway. But again, not everybody can get up to that level. And especially on the independent level, not a lot of us get up to the Stan Sakai or the Eastman and Laird. You know what I mean? That's the premier level. But at the same time, they all started where we're sitting now. You know what I mean? They all said, you know what? I like the concept of I'm gonna get drunk and draw a turtle with a Ninja Turtle, and that thing looked horrible. I mean, like it looked weird. You know what I mean? But again, you get that concept, and you develop the character, you develop the story, and all of a sudden you got toys and cartoons and craziness. So, I mean, it's out there, but basically you got to do it for the love of what you do. So, how to create a network of marketing or markets. For what I do, every time I DJ anywhere, I DJ in San Diego, Alaska, San Luis Obispo, a lot of California places, Arizona, New Mexico, everywhere I DJ, I literally go to the shop because DJ at night. So you go during the day, you go to the local comic shop, introduce yourself, and say I got a book. Right? It's only gonna cost you $3 to have it in your store. He's like $3, man. That's a lot. Yeah, but you sell it for $5, so you get $2. I'm an independent. What are we gonna do? Right? I can't afford the Marvel prices where you buy it for like $1 and you sell it for $5. But on the independent, a lot of times they'll support local artists. They'll support the independent artists because they don't know if it's going to become the next Walking Dead. They don't know if it's going to become, Paper Girls or whatever, Stranger Things or something like that. So they be like, yeah, we'll carry it. If it doesn't go anywhere in like 2 months or whatever, then it goes into the 25-cent bin. But what they didn't really lose out all that much money. They bought 5 books for $3 each. That's $15. I mean, come on, that's like McDonald's today, right? So, but that's how I created my markets. A lot of people, they would actually start off local, as everybody should. If you have a comic or a book, you start off local. You go to Dragon Slayer, you go to Geckos, you go to Other Realms, you go to I don't know what else is there.
Choice.
Choice Comics. I haven't been there yet, but yeah, Choice Comics. You go to all the different independents and you get to know them. Say, hey, what was your name, by the way?
Shane.
Hi, my name is Shane. I just wrote a book. You know, I have an artist coming out with it. Here's some of the concept art. You don't have to have the actual book done yet. You just need the cover, right? So this is what, you know, some of the concept art for it. This is the story. 3-minute boom. And within those 3 minutes, they're going to be like, yeah, man, that's cool. Bring it in. And so that way you know that at least you have interest. At least you have a support structure of all the comic shops. I know Loretta and Charlie over here, they have a whole section of, I mean, literally a whole section of all the local comic artists. And it's amazing. I've never seen it. There's only one place in Vegas that kind of has that, and that's Cosmic Comics. But it's not nowhere near as big as this section here. And so, you know, they support local comic artists. So that's another way to do it. You know, you start off local, and then you kind of move forward after that. For what I did, after doing all my DJ gigs, I'm thinking, you know, I'm only DJing on this side of the world, like, you know, the Mississippi. So one of my friends, I had to pay him, but he literally got every single contact information for every single comic shop in America so far. So, you know, when Choice opened up like 6 months ago or something like that, he got that for me too. You know, I mean, this guy was amazing. But that kind of database, you just put it in the computer. This is my concept. This is my thing. This is my whatever. And I'd love to be in your city. I'd love to, you know, if I'm ever there, I'll come and I'll just draw, you know, an hour or two for free in your shop. You know, build that relationship with your local comic artist, with your local comic shop. Go to the libraries. Introduce yourself to the library, the head of the library or whatever location it is, and let them know. I got a book coming out. Maybe it's not for kids. Maybe it's more for teens and above. To say, you know, I'm gonna have this comic book. I'd like to have it on the shelf. You know, if it gets approved, so that way, you're not just going from comic shops where they have to buy it. Now they can actually just read it at libraries and everything. Okay, if your concept is more for kids and all that, and it's actually kid friendly, talk to your schools. You know, try to get your comic in there. And again, you might have to donate it. You know, like donate your time and donate your product. But at the same time, you're getting so much exposure. I mean, oh, I hate that word exposure because a lot of times they'll try to shyster you like, oh yeah, do a whole 100-page comic for me. You know, it's great for exposure, but I can't pay you. But if you're doing it for yourself, then having that exposure is great. Like for me, the way I kind of got into having a pretty big market, pretty big promotional base is by doing charities. I work with Ronald McDonald House. I work with Heartfelt Heroes, Critical Care Comics, Make-A-Wish, Foursquare, which is like Three Square, which is like 3 square meals a day for kids and families and all that. And I just literally just draw all the time for them. You know, they need a Batman thing. I do a Batman for them with the Make-A-Wish symbol, all of that stuff. What that does is makes it so that way anytime they have a event, you know, 1,000-person event, they're like, hey, we'd love to have you come by. And say, oh, okay, I'll come by. And so I'll draw for the kids and all that. I give them my business cards. Everything is always promoting. I give them my business cards everywhere I go, except for today for some odd reason. But yeah, so I mean, every little thing you can do to get your name out there, to get your project name out there, to get your concept, you know, like everything you want to produce, just go for it. Don't be shy. You know, I mean, honestly, it's one of those. If you're shy, then nobody's gonna know who you are. You can have a gold brick, but if nobody knows you have a gold brick, then gold don't mean nothing to anybody, right? If you have the best comic ever produced in the planet, ever. I mean, we're talking better than Batman, better than anything else. If nobody knows, nobody cares. So get out there, right? Be the next Star Wars. Yeah, I brought it back to Star Wars. Right? Right? Be the next Star Wars. Be the next Lord of the Rings. So, but we all start small. Okay, how to promote your project. I kind of just already told you that. How to market your product. Kind of just told you that too. Okay, well, for how to promote your project, again, what you would want to do is not just promoting your project, but promoting yourself. But at the same time, I want people to know that I have a comic book called The Contraptor. When it's what is that? It's like, well, it's a worldwide adventure story based on the steampunk genre. What's the steampunk genre? So you kind of got to get into the information on that, right? It's a reimagining of technology from the 1900s. Ooh, that was good. I got to remember that.
Yeah.
Right?
That's not your elevator pitch?
Right. I know, right? And so, and even then, people are like, what does that mean? It's like, well, they think of Wild Wild West with Will Smith.
Yeah.
Boom, right there. You got steampunk, right? Or if you think of Around the World in 80 Days with Jackie Chan, that's steampunk stuff too. You know, it's just like taking a train and putting it on your back. So, right? So, I mean, in order to promote your product, you have to have, you don't really have to have flyers, but, you know, get on social media. You know, create a page, create a, thing on Facebook or, for the young kids, Twitter and Snapchat, because they don't go on Facebook anymore. I didn't know that.
Yeah.
Yeah, kids don't go on Facebook anymore.
That's not
We do, but yeah, they don't care.
Because mom and dad are on Facebook.
Right, exactly. Mom and dad and my 5-year-old brother is on Facebook. So, but get on all the social medias. I don't know if Vine is still. I don't think Vine is still around. Snapchat and I'm gonna be here at Other Realms and all that kind of stuff. Every little thing counts because it all adds up. If I only posted once on Twitter, then only 6 people will see it. Now, if I post it every day, 3 times a day, sooner or later somebody's going to wake up at a certain time and look at their phone. Oh, okay. Well, what is that? Right? And then that's when they see it. Wiz Partasio, one of the comic book artists from the original Image and all that stuff, when I was talking to him at his table, even he said the reason why Rob Liefeld got in is because he was there at the right time. The reason why I got in is because I was there at the right time. Jim and I and a few other people had the studio together, and anytime they asked Jim to do something, he would just say yes, no matter what it is. And so, what we do like a lineup where he does the pencils because he's quick at pencils. Scott and myself would do inks, and then so on and so forth. Do backgrounds, do the inks, do the main characters. But I got in at the right time because I kept submitting. I could submit 1, they're gonna say no. They're gonna submit 2, they're gonna say no. 4, 5, 6, because maybe at the time your artwork style or your writing style doesn't fit what they're trying to do with their product. And all of a sudden they say, you know what, we want to do X-Men to make it look like Teen Titans Go. All of a sudden you got that Teen Titans Go style, which didn't work 5 years ago. Now they want to do a what you call that? Thundercats, right? You guys seen that? Like more cartoony, more comic wise. You think that style would have worked back in the early 90s or 80s or whatever it was? No, it would never work. But now you can. Even the reboot in 2011 still had that anime style. The new style that looks like what's that kid's name?
Steven Universe.
Yeah, Steven Universe. That's the way it looks now, but it wouldn't have worked 2011. So you just got to keep producing that. You just got to go online and just keep pushing it out. Go to comic shops, go to this, go to that, go to libraries, because you never know when it's gonna hit. How to market your product. For me, my marketing strategy is, because I'm from Vegas. When I first started my comic company, LFDF Comics, which is Live Free Die Free, because my name is free, right? I know, right? Just narcissistic. What I did, I'm thinking I'm from Vegas, so I got it. Well, I'm based in Vegas now. If I was in Hawaii, everything would have Hawaii on it. Now I'm in Vegas. I'm basing my comic company out of Vegas. My first thing that I ever put out for like marketing product is a casino chip with all my information on it. So basically, that casino chip was my business card, and it's kind of cool, right? Like you get the black one, which means $100. It's like, oh wow, LFDF, all that stuff. And so there's that, but also my business cards are trading cards, with my artwork on it. And when doing so, and this is weird. I never knew this was going to happen. Because of that marketing product, my business card with all my information on it is getting sold on eBay for like $5-6. Like if you go on eBay, like you'll literally see my business cards getting sold. I'm like, dude, I give away about 1,000. What's your problem? But San Diego can't go to New York. New York can't go to Phoenix. Phoenix can't go to Boston, so on and so forth. And so they're all selling them to each other. I was like, why don't you just give them to each other? You guys are crazy. Or just contact me. I think I got a few left in the drawer. But again, that helped build the marketing structure. That means that everybody that has my card, that's giving or trading them or selling them or whatever, they have my information in the back. So it's basically all that is. How to get your products in stores. How much time we got left? Okay. How to get your products in stores. Now, this comes back to the fact that the relationship you build with your local shops, with your local libraries, with your local schools, that relationship, your personal relationship, will help you get into stores. Because if I wasn't coming here, well, technically Word Warehouse, if I wasn't going to Word Warehouse and going to Other Realms when their store is about the size of this room, I wouldn't know any of the workers. I wouldn't know Derek. I wouldn't know, Reese, their son, and all that. And I wouldn't know Charlie or Loretta. And so the first time I came down to Hawaii for a show, it was actually for the Toy Expo at Ala Moana. And because it was the same weekend as Free Comic Book Day, I normally do Free Comic Book Day in Vegas, and I'll do free sketches and everything. I called Other Realms and said, I'll do it for free. And at the time, they never even had an artist come to them. They're like, it's free comic. We just give away comics, man. I was like, yeah, but I'll do it for free. I'll do it for your customers because I love Other Realms so much because I grew up here. I grew up playing Warhammer 40K. I grew up reading comics, here in the shop, or playing, BattleTech or whatever. You know what I mean? And they're like, we never did that before, but I guess, all right. And so what I did, that's how you get into the comic shop. You build that relationship, and you show them what you're worth. So the first Free Comic Book Day was here. We had like maybe 300 people. Right, and the line was crazy. The line was maybe 2 hours long. Since then, next year would be my 5th year. So this past Free Comic Book Day was my 4th year, and we had over 800 people in and out of this place. And by the time I was like, "Oh, I'm so sorry for you for waiting for so long. What do you want me to draw for you? How long were you waiting?" About 4 hours. I'm like, "Really? For a Sharpie sketch? Are you sure? Like, here, take a print, man. Do something." And so. Again, that helps build, right? While I'm here, I don't just do Free Comic Book Day. I don't just do the expo that I met you at. I actually go to Kapolei High School and teach a class there. I go to my local library, McCully Library, McCully Mo'iliili. In fact, you just did a little Comic Con thing over there too, right?
Kalua?
Oh, not Kailua. No, the Mo'iliili McCully one? Maybe not recently. Yeah, Minicon. And so, I'll go there, and, I don't want to freak out the kids or nothing. So I'll talk to whoever's there and say, I'm just going to sit here. I'm just going to draw, free sketches for whoever wants it. And then the kids just start lining up. And then I'm drawing with them, and they're drawing with my pens. I say, okay, now watch out because those are, very expensive pens. But, you get to know your community, you get to know your base, and they'll support you. Because hopefully next time Free Comic Book Day comes around, I'll see you guys all over here again. You know what I mean? And if I don't, I'll be very disappointed because this is a free class. You know what I'm saying? But but yeah, I'd love to see all you guys here, and that's how you build your marketing and your that's how you get your stuff in stores. Because now, if I ever put out another comic, which I am, if I ever put out another comic, I know for a fact that Other Realms will carry it because I built a relationship with them. I want to build a relationship with Dragon Slayer, but I can't get out that far. That's in Milani, right?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, man. Oh my god. I don't know what they're gonna do, like with the new. Are they bringing a Jack in a Box where the KFC is?
Yeah.
See, I love Jack in a Box, by the way. I know we're broadcasting live, but Jack in a Box is the only place where you can get a taco, an egg roll, a burger, a bowl of rice and teriyaki. You know what I mean? You can get everything there, man. I'm just saying. You know what I mean? They're not just for burgers and jalapeno pies. But anyway,
So what did we learn from this podcast?
what do we learn? That Jack in the Box is the Cadillac of.
He gets that royalty from Jack in the Box.
Cha-ching.
Yeah, I'll take. Man, like 2 tacos. It's not even $1 anymore. It's like $1.19. Anyway, so that's how you develop relationships to get your stuff into stores. Borders. I mean, it's a corporate thing where you got to go through the corporate stuff, but it all starts off with knowing their managers. Getting to know some of their.
Barnes and Noble.
Oh, it's not Borders anymore.
No, Borders is gone.
Oh, jeez. Okay. Sorry. So yeah, right. It's like so Barnes and Nobles. You got to get to know Barnes and Noble, right? But yeah, get to know the people that actually bring in the product. The buyers. Those because let's be honest. Like even as a DJ or whatever, if you know other DJs, that's fine. If you know other artists, that's fine. But the artists, they're looking for their jobs too. So you got to know the editors. If you want to get into Dynamite or Boom or anything like that, then yeah, you'd have to know the editors because they're the ones that hire the artist team, right? So if you wanted to write, you wanted to draw, you wanted to ink, you wanted to letter, you wanted to color, you have to know the editor because I might know the artist and he might recommend me, but if the editor doesn't know me or doesn't trust me, he ain't even gonna look my way. Okay. How to make your product appealing to retail stores. I mean, honestly, just have a good product. Don't shortcut. If you want to have a comic book that sells, then you have to research what you're doing. If you have Arare Warriors, then you got to know the difference. Star, Diamond, the one with the seaweedy wrap. You know what I mean? You got to know your product. If you want to create a superhero, you got to know why Magneto controls magnetism, right? Or how he does it. You want to know how Cyclops' eyeballs shoot stuff without burning anything, right? Because that was the whole thing, right? Like it's an impact thing where he's not actually burning anything, and then all of that kind of stuff. But in order to make it your product appealing to retailers, you have to have, I don't know how to say it. You yourself, as a person, as a creator, has to have a little bit of a je ne sais quoi. Yeah, we're gonna use that one. Je ne sais quoi. You have to have a little bit of a charisma, right? Because now you're not just selling your product; you're selling yourself because you're the one that created it. So that's one way to make it appealing. Also, your product itself. Without taking shortcuts, you actually want to make sure that your artists and your colors and your inker and all that work well together to make a beautiful product. Now I'm not saying it has to be like gorgeous, as in visually gorgeous, because you can have that scratchy feel. You can have that like what's his name? Todd Bernardi's Kukui project. If you haven't seen it, it's over here. His style is very sketchy, but the story is a really good story. His covers are eye catching. John over here, John J, he's got Gordon Ryder, and it's hilarious, right? It's as funny as all that out. But again, his storytelling, his emotions that he puts in the faces and all kinds of stuff, that's what actually tells the story. That's what makes it appealing for retailers because they know that people are gonna like it, right? If you make a book about, I don't know, then again so if you say you make a book about gory stuff where it's just all blood and guts and blah, 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 all over the place, they're gonna find a niche, right? There's a niche for that, especially Warhammer 40K players, man. They love all that craziness, right? But at the same time, what do you want to niche? What kind of a story do you want to tell? Now, if you want to get it to the masses, then not too much gore, not too much, foofy stuff like, My Little Pony. You have that in the middle, like X-Men and Avengers, because Avengers, they have Hawkeye that don't care about nothing. Yeah, my this is my family got killed, so I don't care about nothing. You got Tony Stark that used to be an alcoholic, has adult stuff, right? And then you got Captain America, and you got all these. So you got all these different characters that mesh well together, but it makes it so that way it's a bigger market that you can get into. So in order to make your product appealing, you have to kind of either you have that niche where they understand that niche, like the retail stores, comic shops, whatever. They know like, okay, this has to be put in the NC-17 box, or this can be put in the main shelf, which personally I like. But then again, so Deadpool, if you ever read the comic, it's pretty much out there too, right? But it's a mainstream comic. So again, it's kind of depends on how you tell the story. But for me, that's how I get into my local comic shop, is by making it so that way. How old are you, bro? Wow. What is it?
13.
So, wow. So, I know it's been a long day, right? It's been a long day. So, a 13-year-old and a 31-year-old can read my comic and still have the same emotional reaction. So, and that goes for stuff like John Jay over here. Like, honestly, I'd crack up when I read his stuff, but so would a 13-year-old. You know what I mean? So, if you find that really good balance, oh man, your book would be out there selling like crazy. Right? How to grow your market base? The more you do, the better you're on. Like the more drawings you do, the more conventions you do, the more events you do for charities. Especially do that, because you're not just getting your name out there; you're doing something good for the community. But yeah, grow your market base by getting your name out there, shaking hands with everybody, kissing babies with everybody. Try not to go to jail for that stuff. But yeah, I mean, I remember sometimes when I was creating a comic here. Well, I wasn't really creating a comic. I was more just drawing with a couple of friends at a Zippy's, just drinking coffee like crazy, because I was broke. So all I could afford is a cup of coffee, and just so I can sit there in the air conditioning. And we just draw concepts for Dungeons and Dragon characters and all of these things. But when we were doing that, people would, the waitress would stop by. Oh, what are you guys doing? What do you want me to draw for you? I'll draw that for you. Same thing I do now. I did 20 years ago. Same thing I did 20 years ago. I applied to what I do now. What do you want me to draw for you? I'll just draw it. Boom. Try to be as fast as I can because she has to go back to work, right? And then boom, I got that done. Now she goes and tells the rest of the waiter staff or even the cooks, oh, I look on Hulk. Can you draw me on Hulk? Yeah, all right, I'll draw you Hulk. And so I'll do that. I still use that concept today. I still do Free Comic Book Day where I'm doing 150 sketches a day. You know what I mean? Or more. It's the same concept, but at the same time, you're growing your base. You're continually making your name out there. And always say yes. Like, remember, I don't know if you guys are here for that Will Smith story about how he got his job for Fresh Prince. Were you here for that? No, you came late. You came late to class. Yeah, okay. But okay,
I'll
so
just copy someone's notes. That's
but yeah, so Will Smith, he was telling the story on how he got the Fresh Prince of Bel-Air TV show. He just got done doing the parents just don't understand that album. The second album came out and it just bombed. And we're talking like he owed other people money now, right? And he's like, so I was broke. And I was still famous. And the worst part about being broke and famous is that they still recognize you, but now they recognize you sitting next to them on the bus. You know what I mean? And so he went to Quincy Jones' house because somebody invited him to a party or whatever. And there's a whole bunch of executives and, rich people and all this kind of stuff. Magic Johnson, like that kind of stuff. Yeah. And Quincy, he's had a few. He's knocked back a few. He's like, what's your name again? Will Smith. No, not that name, the other name. Fresh Prince. Okay, yeah, you know what we're gonna do? We're gonna make a TV show of that. Fresh Prince. Right? And so he looks over to another writer or something. He goes, you're gonna write something. In 10 minutes you're gonna do the audition. You ready? Because that guy over there, he's the executive or the hiring executive for NBC. You ready? And he's like, oh man, like I didn't come here for I'm not prepared. He's like, okay, let's do it in a week then. Right? Because like, let's do it in a week. And he's like, oh yeah, no, a week would be great. Because you know what's gonna happen? That executive over there is going to say, I'm too busy. Let's push it back 2 more weeks. So 3 weeks. Is 3 weeks okay for you? Yeah. No, it's never going to happen because those 3 weeks will turn into a month will turn into a year. Now, what you can do is you come back in 10 minutes. And that 10 minutes, you take that 10 minutes and it can change your life forever. And so Will Smith's like, all right, let's do it. He did the audition, and 3 weeks later, they're filming the pilot.
Awesome.
And that's how it happened. So always say yes. You know, like when the opportunity comes, and I mean, honestly, man, I bring this up because at first, I didn't even think twice about it. When somebody came up to me an hour and a half before the convention in Arizona started, because I go there early, I'll set up my table, which honestly only takes me 10 minutes, right? I'll walk around and I'll talk to different artists. I'll talk to, different editors, or, I'll go to the Dynamite or Boom Comics or, Zenoscope or whatever. I just talk to the editors and just talk to the people at the booths, and like Matt Hawkins from Top Cow, like that kind of stuff, just to see what they're doing so I know what I need to produce to show them next time I see them. And so I was doing that, and Jesse James came up to me, and he was one of the I guess producers of the Guinness Book of World Record. And so he's like, hey, Free, and I've done stuff with him before. I know, of course, you talk to certain people, and he's like, hey, Free, do you want to be a part of this thing? And at the time, I'm like, yeah, whatever, man, I'll do it, right? So I went there and I did a panel, and you have to write down what time you start and what time you end, and they clock you in. And so I did a panel, and now I'm in the Guinness Book of World Record for fastest comic ever produced from concept to distribution, and most artists on one comic, right? And to be honest, when I did it, I was like, whatever, right? And then it actually coming to Hawaii is when John and the rest of the guys like, dude, you're in the book. I'm like, oh shit, you're right. Oh, sorry.
Edit.
Poo poo, you're right, right? And so that's when it finally hit me, like, because honestly, I've done so many things for so many projects, so many things for so many charities, that it's just one of the things that I do, right? And just so happens that now I have a certificate that says I'm in the Guinness Book, and I wouldn't have had that if I didn't just say yes. You know what I mean? I wouldn't have had a lot of opportunities. Marvel's like, hey, you want to do a card? Yeah, all right. Non-do Marvel cards, which honestly, there's 1,000 other artists that do it, but I can technically say I'm a low-end Marvel artist. You know what I mean? It's good on the resume. It's good knowing the fact that I can draw pretty much every single Marvel character by memory because I've done so many cards. I can draw Eunice. I can draw, Galactus without his mask on, that kind of thing. But yeah, so I mean, all these opportunities happen because you just say yes, or because you're in the right place at the right time. And sometimes it takes a few times to get to that right place at the right time. So, and it's literally exactly 2:30. I get to use the bathroom. And then we're done. Again, thank you guys. I know that it was just a talking thing for this one, but hopefully it was a little bit more entertaining than watching me draw. So, thank you.
Oh, good, thank you.
All right. Yay! No, I'm doing this for you guys because you have to sit there and listen to me ramble.